Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'd like to give you some tips and tricks to break out of the box and hopefully spice up your guitar playing and possibly your guitar solo. Now I hear all the time from a lot of different people that they feel stuck, right? They feel like they can't really go anywhere, or they're, just playing the same stuff over and over. People say, how do I play solos? How do I improvise? How do I write solos? How do I sound good? Now obviously there's a very generic questions, but you get the idea. Alright guys, so before we go any further, let me just go ahead and get the metronome started. I'm a big believer in metronome practice, and you don't have to have a physical metronome. You can use your phone, an app, or you can use a YouTube video, which is what I'm about to do right now. So I'm going to put this at about 120 beats per minute. Okay guys, so we've got the metronome going, and all I'm going to do is walk up and down the shape real quick, just in case you're not familiar with doing that, right? Okay, so that'd be an eighth note pattern. If you're not familiar with eighth notes, you'd be counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? You get the idea? Now you can start this, ascending and then descending back down, which is super cool. If you can't go at this speed, you can also do quarter notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get the idea. Now a lot of people get stuck playing these box shapes up and down robotically, not really getting anywhere, right? Maybe you playing a solo, right? You're going for A minor chord. Which is great, right? That's great. It's great practice. It's great for, connecting your left and right hand together. It's great for timing. It's a great exercise. But it's just that. It's an exercise. It's not very musical. It doesn't really sound like anything, right? I'm sure there's a time and place for it, there's a time and place for everything. But you get the idea. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this same shape and I'm going to play it just a little bit differently to get a different result, right? So instead of going, I'm going to start backwards, so I'm going to start on the 8, right? So the C note instead of the A, then back to A, right? So all I did is I took that same shape and just walked it backwards, right, the entire time. And then descending backwards again, right? Nothing changed. Now you could reverse that, right? So backwards. So I took this and turned it into. So that's just one idea. Now, another really cool idea is taking different shapes and connecting them together and mixing timing. So first I'm just going to stick with eighth notes and show you two shapes, right? So. So this is important because it's going to help you visualize your fretboard better. You're going to get more familiar with where your shapes are at, right? But you're also going to have more room to move around. So when you see guys do stuff like this, right? So all I did is I took this first shape over here. Same thing, right? I moved it over here. And I even slid into the next shape, right? So that'd be, and then back down to this 5/8 shape and to the 3/5. So you get the idea on that. So moving on, if you guys are still with me here, what we're gonna do is change the timing up a little bit. So let's say you start with quarter notes, but then you switch to eighth notes. Right? So the point of that is to get more of a groove developed, right? A natural rhythm. Now later on you can make it more complicated. Maybe you could switch every other one. So Now another thing you can do is string skip. So instead of going from E to A, you're gonna go E to D string, right? Right, so all I'm doing is taking that same shape we just learned, right? And I'm walking backwards and forward, switching timing. And that's gonna give you a lot of room to, you know, exercise. So, moving on from there, you're probably thinking, okay, that's great and all, and it's, you know, good exercise. My picking hand's getting a nice workout. My left hand's feeling syncopated. Everything seems great, right? But it's not musical still. It's still just kind of random notes and playing whatever you want. So how do you make it musical? What I tell people, a lot of my students especially, is to take 2 strings at a time and see if you can make a melody with those 2 strings, mixing the box shapes up, right? And it could be any box shape you're familiar with. So I'm gonna take these 2 shapes right here and go. So now try making a melody out of that, right? Using all these shapes, those same 2 strings, and then the timing changes. So. Right? All I'm doing is I'm just kind of fiddling around, and there's no wrong way to do this. There's no wrong answer. Don't sit there and think, oh, this doesn't sound right. This isn't good. How am I supposed to do this? This, you know, is incorrect. There is no incorrect with this. So long as you're playing in the boxes and you're on those strings, you're gonna be fine. Now, once you get familiar with those 2 strings, go to the next 2 strings. So maybe you go to D and G instead, right? Or you can go to A to D, however you want to do it. And it's like, again, there's no wrong answer here. Now all I'm doing is I'm taking the D and the G string, walking in that position shape, right? So, remember that one? All I'm doing is I'm taking the 5/7, right? So that'd be my G to A, right? C to D. So G, A, C, D, and that's it. That could be super groovy, and it's just literally 4 notes. So you get the idea with that. Now you go to the next set of strings, right? Again, timing switching, staying on, you know, 2 sets of strings at a time. Now when that becomes easy for you, try taking 3 strings and moving around, right? So you get the idea there with that. Now again, there's no wrong answer to how you want to go about this, so long as you're challenging yourself to do something a little different. If you stay stuck in the rut just playing like a robot, you'll be really good at doing just that, playing like a robot. Now obviously, if you're more advanced and this is easy for you, you can switch the timing up even more. You can do stuff like this. Now there's obviously like a million different patterns you can do. I mean, there's like stuff like this. Right? There's also descending patterns like. Lastly, I want to work with you on backing tracks and how you can improvise everything we just did with a backing track. Alright guys, so we got our backing track going here. And now all we're going to do is take everything we just worked on and discussed and see if we can mess around with it, alright? I'm staying in that 5/8 shape, right? That's doing this. Now that sounds kind of lame, right? It's just like, well, there's no point in doing that. So again, I'm just taking a couple strings, the D and the G string, right? So G, right? I slid that D to E on the G string, so 7 to 9. Now B string is going to go on the 8, right? Now that's part of this shape. Now if you notice, I'm also mixing the timing up, right? So quarter, 8th, right? Now listen for it in this. So you guys can kind of hear what's going on here. I'm mixing the timing, I'm taking a couple strings at a time, and more importantly, I'm trying to have fun with everything, right? I'm not trying to sound like a robot, I'm not trying to be rigid. A lot of guys get real rigid and tense, and they lose all the dynamics, they lose all the feeling. And don't get me wrong, I love shredding as much as the next guy, but there's a time and a place for everything. Alright guys, so the final part of this lesson is knowing when to take a breath. What I mean by that, music is a lot like a conversation, right? Notes are like your words, right? You're forming sentences and you're conversing with the rest of the band, right? So it's one big conversation. Now, if you're just constantly making noise, you can't really converse that way, right? You can't just talk over people. So a good example of that would sound like this. Right? It's just a bunch of random notes and just playing non-stop, more or less. What I want you guys to do is to play a few notes and stop. Listen, right? That goes back to timing. Maybe you wait a half a measure or a full measure, right? Maybe you play 4 notes in that measure and you stop. Take a breath. So, for instance. Breath right there. Breath. Then you can add the shredding, right? Alright guys, so hopefully this video helped you out today. I hope that, your solos get a little bit better and you stop beating yourself up mentally. If you guys have any questions about anything I discussed in this video, please don't hesitate to send me a message or comment down below. I'd be more than happy to help you out. If you have any ideas for any other future videos, please let me know as well, because I need content. So, alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have an awesome day.